So we're just in the process of tying the trailer down, and we're going to head up to the sandblasters to get the frame all sandblasted. So damp old morning, but hey, it's a good place to be. While I'm waiting on the chassis to be sandblasted, I've got stuck into just going through the engine and gearbox. Did the gearbox first. It's good to go. I've just pretty much finished up on the engine. A light restoration, nothing too exciting. Bore scoped her, so she looked good there. The Valley of Death actually is really good. It's as nice as one I've seen. So happy days with that. The only real problem the engine had was it had an oil leak coming from the rear main seal. So I've replaced it with Delorean Go's double-lipped seal, so it'll be interesting to see how that performs. One thing I also do when I replace a rear seal is the housing. I have come across the Allen bolts that secure the housing, well, let's just say loose, and the gasket that's in there is quite fragile. You can see what it looks like. I mean, it's not the greatest. Anyway, when you're doing the rear seal, I would advise to replace this gasket as well. It's very simple to do, and well worth the while. When you do your rear seal, remember that you want to push the seal home. Inside the housing, there's like a shelf where the seal sits on, so you want to make sure that's pushed home. Use your old oil seal to do that. You're looking at about a mil there, so it's not flush. It's actually in slightly. So make sure when you're doing your seal that it's pushed home all the way. Other thing to check, if the vehicle's been sitting, this particular car's been sitting about 4 years, what happens to the flywheel bearing is it rusts. The bearings in the bearing itself, the ball bearing, sorry, they rust into the race and create little pits all around the race. So whenever you start it up, the bearing will fail. Not because of mileage, just because they've been sitting. So if you're in doing this, I recommend doing this. The way I do it is I have a little tool here, a little puller, and it slips inside, and you pop it out. So pretty straightforward, but definitely you want to do that. Other than that, I got some supplies from Delorean Go, so I'm looking forward to installing all of that when the chassis comes back. I have sandblasted, primered in zinc, and then flat coated and clear coated and replaced my joints on the suspension units. So they're all good to be bolted in. That was fun. So tomorrow we should have the chassis back, and I'll start to prep that and start my reassembly. Okay, so moving on from the flywheel, we're giving the clutch sleeve cylinder a wee service. I've cleaned up the outside. I've honed the cylinder inside, pushed this on the end of a drill, and it just speeds up, and there's little stones on there which will resurface the cylinder. As long as there's no pits in the cylinder, you're pretty much good to go. I have purchased a little seal kit from Delorean Go. Give it a little lubrication with brake fluid, and we're going to pop the return spring in and just pop the seal. It should just go in nice and smoothly. There you go. Push that home, and then it's just a matter of squeezing on this dust cover, and it'll wipe down, and she's ready to rock. One more little job done on the chassis build. So that's the chassis sandblasted, looking fantastic, and we've had it etched in zinc primer. So yeah, looks $1 million. Very pleased, and on to the next of getting everything reassembled. The chassis is back from the sandblaster. He took a long time, a lot of work, blasting the epoxy off the chassis. He even made up a couple of tools to get into the box sections, which helped tremendously. He primered it with 47% zinc primer, so that should help prevent any rust or subdue any rust in the future. I think it's a better word. I then got my hands on it, and I've painted in a 2K paint, which leaves like an enamel finish. Gives me more control rather than letting somebody else do it. I can take time and concentrate on parts of the chassis that need to be concentrated on. So I'm pleased with that. I didn't go with the galvanizing because I've had experience with galvanizing before, and it can warp. It can warp metal, and of course alignment is very critical in the chassis. So I know guys have had it done with great results, but I decided against it, and I went ahead and did it my way. So very pleased. I'll go ahead and get my gear linkages set up, get it back in again, brake pipes, fuel lines, coolant, fuel tank, and then we'll roll it and then start building the suspensions. And yeah, pleased with the way it's come out, and it looks good for another 40+ years.